verses 1 through 9. The spirits of evil and madness seek to silence the words of righteousness and reason. These spirits possess or influence a person or a group of people to act in a threatening or vicious manner, which is designed to intimidate the righteous, to silence them. If successful, the fear of injury or death will silence the voice of truth. You see it happen all the time. People in groups are perhaps even more subject to these contagions. Demonic influences need only control one person, and he will infect others. It is an observable reality. Videos have documented this phenomenon, while the testimony of those who are involved have confirmed this truth over and over again. This is not a single quote, but rather a composite of various statements that have been made by those who are involved in mob violence. I have no idea what came over me. I was there, and the next thing I know, I was looting and fighting. It's like I was watching myself do these things. Now, I'm not trying to mitigate their behavior, but there seems to be a common thread throughout all these testimonies. It's almost like it wasn't me. I was watching myself do this. Interestingly enough, evil can infect both those who are lawless as well as those tasked with defending the innocent against the lawless. Evil influences people. The defenders of the innocent are trained to resist this enticement. In Israel, as in America, soldiers are given ROEs, rules of engagement, and they are trained on how to respond to provocation. Sometimes our response is measured. At other times, it is equal to or greater than the threat that is being posed. There are many factors to consider on how one responds: the nature of the individual threat, the danger posed to the innocent, and the nature of the overall conflict. Are we in a general state of war, or is this an isolated uprising? They will affect how soldiers are allowed to respond. They are given these ROEs because if you just leave soldiers alone, they will respond in a certain way. The ROEs for police are always more stringent because they are dealing with citizens, not foreign invading forces. Police training or post-training emphasizes de-escalation and highly measured responses. This training is designed to limit the influence of evil on those who are fighting against evil. You see it all the time. Palestinians throw rocks at Israeli soldiers armed with rifles. If you thought it was silly to bring a knife to a gunfight, it's utterly insane to bring a rock to a gunfight. The natural response is to return fire and end the threat. It's over in minutes, seconds actually. It takes great discipline to resist that urge and respond only when the innocent are threatened. The threat from Gaza. They lob these rockets over. They're basically bottle rockets. If Israel desired to respond, it would be a very scary 20 minutes. It would take about that. Israel's Air Force could flatten all of Gaza in 20 minutes, give or take. The amount of restraint is simply remarkable. We're witnessing the same condition at the riots on our borders. Police and Border Patrol agents exercise remarkable restraint when dealing with people. The general population of a country is controlled by its leaders and by those who bring us the news. They control what we hear, and they control how we hear it. They put it in a certain context. Disinformation or propaganda is a relatively easy way to manipulate the masses. It's been working for years. It's easy. That is precisely why our founding fathers emphasized freedom of speech. It is the first of the Bill of Rights for a reason. Freedom of speech allows dissent, a viewpoint other than the government's. It gives a balance. It allows for another viewpoint. An example, today everybody is up in arms about, every few months you hear something about it. Syria has used chemical weapons, weapons of mass destruction against its population. And you see the people on the news, you see the politicians, oh, WMDs, now you've crossed the line. That outrage is somewhat hypocritical, and it's certainly specious. Of a certainty, chemical weapons are a horrible way to die. It's terrible. However, hundreds of thousands of people have died in that conflict over the last decade. Hundreds of thousands. All of a sudden, 120 people die, supposedly from chemical weapons, and everyone is outraged. The demagogues draw bold lines in the sand which appear and disappear as the dunes. These uprisings could end in a day. It is not difficult. It is not only possible, it has happened in the past. You might remember the terror group Black September. They're the ones who kidnapped the Israeli at the Olympics in Munich in 1996, in 1976, and murdered them. They took their name from a massacre that took place in September, not in Israel, in Jordan. Arafat was given sanction by Jordan. He was allowed to come in because he had been expelled from Israel because of all of the people he had killed. In an effort to say thank you to King Hussein of Jordan, he started an intifada against the king, calling for his overthrow. King Hussein sent in his tanks, and when the smoke cleared, 10,000 Palestinians lay dead. 10,000 Palestinians were mowed down by machine guns in a single day. It's called Black September, and that terrorist group took their name from that. That was certainly mass destruction. There was no outrage over King Hussein killing 10,000 people. Few even know about it. The last time I mentioned this in a message, I had a score of people come up and tell me they had no idea that that's where Black September got their name. They had no idea of it because nobody spoke about it. No one on the news. Israelis knew. We say nothing about that, yet we're exercised over 120 people dying from sarin gas. Again, a horrible way to die, but once you're dead, the method no longer relevant. This represents an inconsistent sense of outrage. It's designed to bring us to a certain place. Do not allow those with a political agenda to manipulate how and what you think. You're being programmed every day, every single day. Resist